As I'm opening this up, you may have noticed my hat. Go Reds, from Ohio, and the Reds are my team. What's going on, everybody? Dan the Ultra Dad here today, enjoying some coffee this morning. It's beautiful out here. The air is finally drying up. So today we're going to be looking at the second installment of the Ultra Essentials series, my shoes. Obviously incredibly important to pick the right shoes for your ultra marathon. And today I have a new pair coming in the mail. All right, let's see what this day holds in store. It's going to be a good one. All right, so here we are. We've got, we did get a package today, and these are shoes. Let's check it out and see what we've got here. Get out my trusty knife here. As I'm opening this up, you may have noticed my hat. Go Reds, from Ohio, and the Reds are my team. And this year they actually may have a chance to make the playoffs. All right. Oh, okay, Nike. Here we go. Yeah. That's what I'm talking about. These are my potential trail shoes for the Grindstone 100. Let's take a look, open it up. All right. Oh yeah, here we go. The Nike Pegasus Trail 3. This is very cool looking. Wow, look at that shoe. Look at that outsole, little pull tab. Oh yeah, there we go. I also like this toe bumper. I think it's gonna help me a lot on the trails. All right, so the Nike Pegasus Trail 3, I have actually owned a trail shoe before, or a Nike Trail line shoe before. The Nike Trail Pegasus 2, the Pegasus Nike Trail 2 GTX version. I did return those because the GTX I found made my feet sweat a lot and it was kind of uncomfortable. The Gore-Tex GTX worked very, very well, don't get me wrong, but I also found that it was in the winter time when I was testing it, and the outsole was not really a winter mud type outsole. I think that on the trails that I'm going to be running for the Grindstone 100, I believe it's going to be very dry, so I think this may be a great shoe for that race. So I decided to go ahead and pick it up. There's some decent deals out. Actually, it was $130, so I'm not sure if it was ever more than that. But I'm excited to try this and maybe even use it as my primary shoe. Hold on one second. All right, so this has been my go-to shoe. I wore it for the Mohican 100. I wore it for the Cruel Jewel as well, and I'd say it did very well for both of those races. It's held up extremely well. This now has almost 400 miles in it, and the red version that I had about 400 miles as well. So anyway, this is starting to come to the end of its life. Here's the red version that I owned. This may have gone almost 500 miles, and then I noticed, I don't know if it was during a race or training or what, but then I had this happen. So I don't know if you can see that. But these are still really nice. I think probably this is the lineup that I've now gotten that I'm going to have for the Grindstone 100, hoping that this Pegasus Trail 3 will be my primary since it's the newer one. I tried the Trail 2, like I said, so I know that it can work. I really enjoyed the React midsole, which is what this is made of, this React midsole here. I know that was really comfortable for me in the Trail 2. So I'm hopeful that this will be either even more comfortable, or at least it'll be something that I'm not completely this is not completely new to me. So anyway, so we'll talk about more reasons why shoes are very important. I mean, it's so obvious, but we'll talk about that in a little while. Let's first go take these out and get a little run in. So my run went well. Can't speak English. Went really well. Had a good time over there. Short run, about 3 miles, and just trying to test out these Nike Pegasus Trail 3s. The Trail 3 so far is very comfortable. It is going to need to be broken in a bit though. This React foam midsole is really awesome right here. It's I can't tell you the drop right now, but it's pretty thick here. It was plenty cushioned. I was getting a little bit of the metatarsalgia, I think is what you call it, in my left foot that I've had with other shoes. So I'm going to be breaking it in over the next week, and we'll see if it works. If it doesn't work, I'll just go back to my trusty Olympus 4.0s. So we shall see. So for this video, I wanted to tell you about the 3 things that I think about when it comes to my shoe choice for an ultramarathon. The first is the weather. So some shoes you can pick are better for wetter weather, some are better for drier weather. In particular, like for example, these Nike Pegasus Trail 3s are probably better for dry weather, and it's mostly because of the outsole, which is not that aggressive. These lugs are not that deep, and when I tried out the Trail 2 back in the winter time, I ran in the snow and they slipped and slided. They were slipped and they were they were slipping quite a bit on the snow. I did find yesterday during my run with these that in fact they were not too bad in the dry climate. So right now the trails around where I live here in Ohio are very dry, pretty buffed out. There really aren't too many mud puddles or anything like that. So these may be perfect shoes for that climate. So, big part of it is the weather. Is it going to be really wet? If it is, you probably need a more aggressive outsole. In this case, hopefully not. We shall see. The second big thing that I look at with a shoe selection for a race is the distance. So depends on what kind of ultramarathon you're running. In my case, I'll be running one of the longest, the 100-miler, although now there's 250, 300, 500-mile races. And so you really want a shoe, at least in my opinion, that's going to protect your feet very, very well. So you sacrifice a lot on the speed side, because obviously speed is not the issue, for me at least. And you try to up the protection of your feet, and a lot of that for me is involving the midsole. So that's why I'm looking at the Trail 3, because the midsole is pretty thick there. I will try to look up the actual drop and the stack height, but because this is not a review of the Trail 3, we won't get into that. But I usually look for a lot of midsole to protect the bottom of my feet. So that's for the longer distances. Now, if you're going to do a 50K or say a trail marathon, I guess that's not technically an ultra, but if you're looking to do a 50K or a 50-miler, you might be moving a lot faster, and you might want a shoe that has less stack height in the midsole and is less bulky and less cushioned. The distance is a key factor in the type of shoe that you pick. The final consideration when it comes to your shoe selection for an ultramarathon is the terrain. So the terrain is probably the biggest consideration, I think. If you're going to be doing a buffed out trail, something on the lines of Western States, or some other race where the trails are very well established, there aren't a whole lot of rocks, it's not very gritty, you're not going up to the top of a mountain, then the Trail 3 might be a good example of a shoe that you could use, because the outsole, again, is not that aggressive. Now, if you are going to be going up a mountain, if you're going to be dealing with rocky, gritty terrain that's going to be a lot more challenging from that aspect, you definitely want to look at an outsole that has deeper lugs in the bottom so that they can grip the terrain that you're on, so that they can keep you from slipping and sliding, things like that. The other part of it is it's kind of a mix with the weather. If the terrain is very muddy and the trails are not dry, or if there's lots of leaves and things like that, you definitely are going to want to look at a more aggressive outsole as well. And some shoes are designed for mud. Some shoes are designed for more rocky terrain, like dry but rocky, like up on a mountain. So all of this can impact the type of shoe that you choose for your ultramarathon. So those are the big 3 in my mind. You've got weather, you've got length of the race, and then you have the terrain that you're actually going to be on. So those are the things that I think about, at least, when I'm looking at my shoe selection for an ultra marathon. Anyway, so just a quick rundown on my thoughts about your shoe selection. I hope this was helpful to somebody. And for me, in this, just to apply this to real life, with my race at the Grindstone 100, I really have no idea. Truth be told, let's pick them out of order. The distance is a big consideration, so that's why my Ultra Olympus 4.0s will be a good selection for that, just because they're very well padded. They really protect your feet very well. So as far as distance. Now, as far as terrain at the Grindstone 100, I think it's kind of a mixed bag. I know that there's some fire roads that are going to be more gravelly, and I know that there's some more traditional single track through trees and through forests. So that's kind of why I'm covering my bases by bringing a more aggressive shoe like the Ultra Olympus, and then perhaps bringing this Trail 3. But the Trail 3, I like it because it seems a little bit more nimble, and it has more of a drop than the Ultra, of course, which is 0 drop. So I think that will also assist me on some of the elevation gain that I'm going to be getting, some of the hills and the mountains that I'll be in. So that's the terrain, the distance, and then the weather. The weather is a big question mark. Right now it's looking really good. So it's looking like temperatures in the 70s. I don't see any precipitation at this point. Hopefully that remains that way. And so a shoe like the Trail 3 will be a good choice. If it's going to be, if last minute, I'm going to bring a couple other shoes as well. If it's going to turn into a mud fest with a lot of rain, then I definitely will not be wearing a Trail 3 for very long, probably, because the outsole grip is just not that great. So that'll kind of be a game time decision as far as how the weather impacts what shoe I pick, but we shall see. So anyway, thanks a lot for watching this video. If you liked it, hit the thumbs up if you like this particular video, and subscribe to the channel if you'd like to be subscribed. The bell notification is also good right now because the race is coming up, and I'll be posting more videos about my preparation for the Grindstone 100. Thanks again for joining me. We'll see you in the next one.